How to learn English. Ilara often felt a knot in her stomach when English conversations arose. Her aspirations to communicate fluently, especially in British English, seemed a distant dream, almost an insurmountable peak. Every day presented a new linguistic hurdle, a fresh reminder of her limitations. She yearned for the ability to articulate her thoughts effortlessly, to truly connect with native speakers without hesitation or the dreaded awkward silence that always seemed to follow her attempts. Her daily day's struggle was palpable. Simple tasks like asking for directions or ordering a coffee often turned into a frustrating mime show, leaving her feeling utterly defeated and isolated. She knew the grammar rules, perhaps even recited them perfectly in her head, yet speaking felt like trying to navigate a dense fog with no map. This constant battle chipped away at her confidence, making her question her own linguistic capabilities. She watched videos of people speaking English with such natural ease, their words flowing like a gentle river, and wondered how they achieved such effortless communication. Ilara craved that fluidity, that confidence to engage in lively discussions, sharing opinions and jokes without the crushing fear of mispronunciation or grammatical errors. Her desire to learn English was not just academic, it was deeply personal, a quest for liberation. One crisp morning, she decided enough was enough. This incessant struggle would not define her any longer. Ilara resolved to find the best way to learn English, knowing deep down it wouldn't be a single, magic bullet, but rather a dedicated, multifaceted approach. She armed herself with renewed determination, ready to embark on a transformative journey towards linguistic mastery and self-assurance. Her initial research into way of learning English revealed a daunting array of methods. Textbooks, apps, online courses, conversation partners, the options felt overwhelming. She meticulously sifted through advice, trying to discern what would genuinely resonate with her learning style and daily routine. Ilara understood that consistency, more than any single technique, would be her most valuable asset in this linguistic endeavor. Ilara had always been captivated by the nuances of British English, its distinct accent, unique idioms, and charming expressions. She wanted to say aluminium correctly and understand phrases like taking the mickey. Her goal wasn't just to speak English, but to embrace the delightful peculiarities of British English, immersing herself fully in its rich tapestry of sounds and meanings. She began by immersing herself in British media. BBC documentaries became her constant companions, their clear pronunciation and diverse topics providing a rich listening environment. Podcasts with various regional accents challenged her ears, forcing her to tune in more acutely to the subtle variations. This passive listening, she discovered, was slowly but surely tuning her brain to the rhythm of the language. Active listening became a cornerstone of her strategy. She wouldn't just listen, she would pause, repeat, and even transcribe short phrases, paying close attention to intonation and stress. This painstaking process, though slow, was immensely rewarding. It helped her dissect spoken English into manageable chunks, making the seemingly complex patterns gradually more discernible and approachable. How people speak English became her new fascination. She noticed how native speakers connected words, almost swallowing certain sounds, and the subtle shifts in pitch that conveyed emotion. Elara spent hours mimicking these sounds, often feeling silly, but knowing it was crucial for developing a natural-sounding accent and improving her own personal fluency. Pronunciation drills, though sometimes tedious, proved invaluable. She used online resources that provided phonetic charts and audio examples, diligently practicing sounds like the th or the r at the end of words, which were notoriously tricky for her. Her tongue and mouth muscles gradually adapted, making it easier to articulate words with greater clarity and confidence. Despite her diligent practice, the fear of how to talk remained a significant barrier. The words would often get stuck in her throat, a mental block preventing her from expressing herself spontaneously. She understood that theory without practice was like knowing how to swim on paper but never getting into the water. The real challenge lay in overcoming this mental hurdle. She started with tiny steps, initiating polite, small talk with shopkeepers or baristas, even if it was just a simple, "Good morning, how are you?" These brief interactions, though nerve-wracking, were vital for building momentum. Each successful exchange, no matter how trivial, chipped away at her anxiety and reinforced her growing self-belief in her spoken English. Elara observed talking tips everywhere. She noticed how fluent speakers used filler words naturally, like, or, not as a sign of weakness but as a way to pause and gather their thoughts. This realization was liberating. It meant she didn't have to be perfect, just natural. She began to incorporate these small, authentic elements into her own speech. Crucially, she learned to embrace her mistakes, viewing them not as failures but as essential stepping stones on her learning path. Every mispronounced word or grammatical error became an opportunity to learn and refine. This shift in mindset transformed her struggle from a source of frustration into a powerful catalyst for continuous improvement and deeper understanding. Then came a breakthrough concept: how to talk at home to yourself. Elara initially found the idea strange, even slightly embarrassing, but she decided to give it a try. She began narrating her daily activities aloud in English, describing what she was doing, what she saw, or what she felt. While cooking, she'd describe the ingredients: "Now I'm chopping the onions, very carefully, into small pieces." While walking, she'd comment on the weather: "It's quite a brisk day today, with a gentle breeze." This constant self-narration, even if only in her head initially, forced her brain to actively retrieve and formulate English sentences without external pressure or judgment. She took it a step further by engaging in imaginary conversations. In her mind, she'd debate current affairs, discuss her favorite books, or even argue with invisible opponents, all in English. This was her private linguistic playground, a safe space to experiment with new vocabulary and complex sentence structures without the fear of immediate correction or embarrassment. Sometimes, she'd even record herself speaking, then listen back. It was often painful to hear her own mistakes, but it provided invaluable feedback. She could identify pronunciation issues, awkward phrasing, or repetitive vocabulary. This self-assessment became a powerful tool for self-correction, accelerating her progress in spoken English significantly. English story reading became another cherished part of her routine. She started with simplified readers, gradually moving on to authentic British literature. Reading not only expanded her vocabulary but also exposed her to natural sentence structures, idiomatic expressions, and cultural nuances embedded within the narratives. She didn't just read silently, she read aloud. This practice combined reading comprehension with speaking practice, helping her connect the written word with its spoken form. Reading dialogue aloud particularly helped her with intonation and rhythm, making her speech sound more natural and less like a robotic recitation. Through reading, she encountered words in context, making them easier to remember and use. Instead of isolated flashcards, words came alive within the stories, their meanings enriched by the surrounding narrative. This contextual learning proved far more effective than rote memorization for long-term retention and fluent application. Slowly but surely, Elara's confidence began to bloom. The daily self-talk, coupled with extensive reading and focused listening, started yielding tangible results. She no longer felt the familiar knot of dread before speaking English. Instead, a sense of quiet anticipation began to replace it, a desire to try. One afternoon, while volunteering at a local charity, she found herself in a genuine conversation with an elderly British woman. To her surprise, the words flowed. She explained her role, asked questions, and even managed a few light-hearted jokes. The conversation felt natural, unforced, and incredibly rewarding for Elara. The joy of being understood, and equally important, the joy of truly understanding, was an unparalleled feeling. She could pick up on subtle humor, respond appropriately to questions, and maintain the conversational flow without panicking. This experience was a powerful affirmation of her consistent hard work. She realized that learning English was much more than memorizing grammar rules or vocabulary lists from a textbook. It was about developing an ear for the language, a feel for its rhythm, and the courage to use it, even imperfectly. The classroom was merely a starting point, not the entire journey's destination. Her immersion in British culture through films, TV shows, and music deepened her understanding of the language. Slang, cultural references, and sociolinguistic norms became clearer, making her more adaptable and nuanced in her interactions. She was not just learning words, she was learning a way of life. Elara also sought out English conversation groups online and in person. Being part of a community of learners provided encouragement, shared experiences, and invaluable opportunities to practice speaking in a supportive environment. It was reassuring to know she wasn't alone in her linguistic quest. These group sessions allowed her to receive constructive feedback, which was crucial for identifying persistent errors and areas for improvement. While self-correction was powerful, external input from more proficient speakers provided perspectives she might have overlooked, refining her English further. She now understood that the best way to learn English wasn't a singular method but a mosaic of approaches tailored to individual needs. It involved consistency, courage, curiosity, and a willingness to step outside one's comfort zone, embracing the entire messy, beautiful process. Her personal way of learning English combined active listening, dedicated self-talk, extensive reading, and brave conversation attempts. It was a holistic strategy that addressed different aspects of language acquisition, ensuring comprehensive and sustainable progress over time, bit by bit. Elara learned that persistence was undeniably key. There were days when she felt discouraged, when progress seemed painstakingly slow. But she reminded herself of her initial struggles and the journey she had already undertaken, pushing through the plateaus with unwavering determination and grit. She started celebrating every small win, understanding a complex idiom, successfully telling a short anecdote, or even correctly using a new phrasal verb. These small victories accumulated, building a robust foundation of confidence and momentum for future learning challenges. Now, when someone asked, "How to improve your English?" Elara had a wealth of practical advice to share, drawn from her own lived experience. Her voice, once hesitant, now carried a newfound confidence, reflecting her profound journey of linguistic transformation. "Let me tell you talking tips," she'd often begin, eager to help others navigate their own learning paths. She emphasized the importance of observing how people speak English, paying attention to natural flow and colloquialisms rather than just dictionary definitions. Her English learning was no longer a separate, arduous task; it had become seamlessly integrated into her daily life. From reading news articles to watching British comedies, every interaction became an opportunity for linguistic growth and cultural immersion. While she cherished her progress in developing a more British-like accent, she understood that true fluency transcended mere pronunciation. It was about expressing nuanced ideas, understanding cultural contexts, and connecting authentically with others through shared language. One of her greatest joys was finally grasping British humor, with its dry wit and subtle sarcasm. What once seemed baffling now brought genuine smiles, indicating a deeper cultural understanding that went beyond literal translation, enriching her life immensely. Elara knew the journey was far from over. Language learning is a lifelong pursuit, an evolving process of continuous discovery and refinement. There were always new words to learn, new idioms to master, and new accents to decipher in her ongoing linguistic adventure. To maintain her progress, she continued her daily self-talk, albeit now more naturally, almost instinctively. She still read English stories, delving into more challenging literary works, expanding her vocabulary and deepening her appreciation for the language's beauty. She actively sought opportunities to engage with native British speakers, whether through online communities, local events, or travel. These real-world interactions were invaluable for refining her conversational skills and gaining exposure to diverse speaking styles. She had learned to embrace the complexities and inconsistencies of English, rather than being frustrated by them. The irregular verbs, the quirky spellings, the seemingly illogical idioms, all became part of the language's charm, not obstacles. The true reward wasn't just speaking English, it was the joy of expressing herself freely, of sharing her thoughts and feelings without the constant filter of translation or the fear of misunderstanding. Her voice, once muted, had truly found its eloquent expression. Learning English, particularly British English, had opened up a whole new world for Elara, almost creating a new aspect of her identity. She felt more connected globally, more capable, and immensely proud of how far she had come on her challenging journey. For anyone starting their journey, Elara would advise patience and self-compassion. "Don't be too hard on yourself," she'd say. "Every little step forward is progress, no matter how small it may seem at the moment. Keep pushing. She stressed the importance of finding enjoyment in the process. If it feels like a chore, motivation wanes. But if you find joy in reading a fascinating story or understanding a complex joke, then learning becomes an exciting adventure. Integrate English into your daily struggle, not as an extra burden, but as a natural part of your routine. Turn mundane tasks into learning opportunities. Listen to English music while commuting, or watch English shows while cooking. Repetition, she explained, wasn't boring, it was fundamental. Repeating phrases, rereading stories, re-listening to dialogues, these actions solidify new knowledge and build the muscle memory required for fluent, natural speech. Ultimately, the best way to learn English is intensely personal. What works for one person might not work for another. The key is experimentation, discovering what strategies resonate with your individual learning style and objectives. Ilara learned to let go of the need for perfection. Native speakers make mistakes, use informal language, and sometimes stumble. The goal isn't flawless academic English, but effective, confident, and authentic communication. Confidence, she discovered, was perhaps the most crucial talking tip of all. When you believe you can speak, even if imperfectly, your brain is more likely to retrieve words and construct sentences efficiently. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. She began to love her own unique accent, even as it became more British-influenced. It was a beautiful testament to her journey, a blend of her native tongue and her newly acquired linguistic prowess, making her truly unique. The gift of language had truly transformed her life. It wasn't just about vocabulary or grammar, it was about opening doors to new cultures, new friendships, and a broader understanding of the world around her, expanding her horizons. Her journey of learning English, especially the British nuances, continued to be a source of immense personal growth and satisfaction. Each new word learned, each complex sentence mastered, added another layer to her linguistic tapestry. What began as a daily struggle had blossomed into a lifelong passion. Ilara, once timid, now enthusiastically engaged in conversations, proving that dedication, smart strategies, and an unyielding spirit can conquer any linguistic challenge. So, if you're asking how to learn English, remember Ilara's story. It's about consistency, immersion, self-talk, reading, and embracing every single step of the journey, transforming your My Daily struggle into genuine fluency and enjoyment.